So these are all of the contracts from labels that still owe me money, and these three here actually are the ones who paid me not full but at least something, and as you can see there are none left that actually paid me how we agreed. That's just the way it is. It's a little bit sad. Until we know we are. I had this super brilliant idea yesterday evening to install the new macOS Sierra. It pretty much screwed up with all of my Logic plugins, so I had to reinstall all of them from a backup. I somehow made it work, but I spent almost the entire night fixing it and also this entire morning. So a lot of lost time, and there's nothing I hate more than losing time. And to be honest, it wasn't really worth it. There are some small little new features that are all not really interesting for me. You can now double tap the spacebar to insert a period. We have now this frame-in-frame or picture-in-picture movie mode where you can work and watch a movie at the same time. I don't need that. You can now copy-paste between your phone and your Mac. That's quite alright. That's something I might use in the future. Siri is now on the Mac. I'm not really using it on my phone, so I don't think I will use it a whole lot on the computer. The only really great thing with this new update was that I had before 40 GB of free hard disk space, and now I have 140. So I don't know how, but somehow it erased 100 GB of useless data on my computer, which is quite nice. More disk space is always welcome. I'm having these problems with almost each and every update of macOS. It always screws up the plugins, the authorization of the plugins, which is probably not even Apple's fault, but all of those small companies making these plugins, they don't really react fast to the new updates. But it's working now, so let's head to the studio. I really don't know how, but summer is back, 23 degrees, sunglasses and shorts. We keep dancing with our hearts. I don't wanna fall again. Please stop the time. I hate being late in the studio, and on top of that I am extremely tired from being up all night fixing my computer problems. So let's see how much work I can fit into the rest of the day. But first of all, let's check how my track Dancing with Our Hearts is performing on SoundCloud and on Spotify. I checked out the numbers and at least something is working today. On Spotify I have 23,000 plays, which is really amazing. And on SoundCloud more than 7,500 since Monday. That's probably the best start on a new track ever, and thanks to all of you, you're part of this. Thanks for sharing, thanks for listening, it really means a lot to me. Since this day is already messed up quite a bit, I will take care of something that I try to avoid because I don't really like dealing with stuff like that. There are some people that still owe me money from something that I did probably 1.5 years ago. So it's really about time to write them a not so nice email. You know, I really don't get these people. When I owe somebody money, I pay it back as fast as possible, and if it's not possible, I at least give them a phone call and tell them, hey, listen, it's not possible in the time frame we agreed on. Can I have 1 or 2 more months? And usually the people are fine with that. I would be fine with that too. But just not getting any notice from the person is quite annoying, because I always have to ask them, and then they're telling me the same lies. Okay, next month, next month. And I hate to deal with this kind of stuff. It's also not really good for the business relationship, because the next time I will just not work with them again. Okay, done with the email. If this doesn't help, I really don't know what to do. Now, since I'm already doing this kind of stuff, I got a lot more people. Just wait. You see, all of this are contracts with labels. Didn't pay me as we agreed in the contract, so writing more not so nice emails. This was quite frustrating. As I said, hate dealing with stuff like that. What really makes me angry that these labels, without the artist, they wouldn't make any income, and they all make contracts because they have to make sure that, for example, I'm not using samples I'm not allowed to use. And most of these contracts are 50-50 splits with those underground labels that are really big on Beatport. I've signed with a couple of them. If you're interested which ones, you can look it up yourself. And they never send the statements that they should after half a year or a year. You always have to ask for the statements, then you have to wait probably for another half year, and then you get a statement that says that you don't get any money. Usually they trick a little bit, they start putting expenses onto the statement, cover cost, mastering cost, and promotional cost. And usually these costs are as high as the amount that the track made on Beatport. And even if there's money left, they still have usually a sentence in the contract that they only pay you above 50 or 100 euro. So at the end, you just basically don't get anything as an artist. Of course, you could get a lawyer and try to get your couple hundred euros, but it's not really worth it to fight with these people. At the end, this will cost you even more. And this underground Beatport scene is very small. If you start to make a lot of problems to one of them, you will probably not get another release for quite some time. It's really sad that it's working like that, and it's actually really stupid from the labels. For example, one of them that I worked with, a track made more than 1,000 euros within the first half year, which is already quite good for a Beatport release. But instead of paying me, they refused to pay, and I did never release something with them again, and released my next track on another label and made even more money. And these guys were good friends and they paid and everything was fine. So it's kind of stupid to not give the artist the money. With this underground Beatport music, you can almost forget about getting paid. Just see your tracks as a promotional tool, try to release them, get as far into the charts as possible, and get gigs from that. That's usually the way DJs try to do it. That's what will make you money at the end. It's all in the gigs. All other DJs that I know, the releases make maybe 5 to 1% of the money that they make a year. And the worst is that the track kind of belongs to the label for at least 10 to 15 years, depending on the contract. And there is no way to get them back without getting a lawyer and making a whole lot of trouble. It's usually not worth it when you're a smaller artist or when you're making underground music. The best is working together with people that you know or that got recommended by friends. If you just work with random people on the internet, this will happen even more likely. So if you sign to a label where you don't know the people, try at least to sign to a label that is big and has a lot of promotional value, so that even if you don't get paid, you at least get a lot of promotion and maybe some DJ gigs. There's not really much you can do about it except for trying to become a more influential and bigger artist. The second you have made it, people will stop doing that with you. So let me know your thoughts about this topic, your experiences with labels, and maybe you guys have a solution to this problem. For me, my solution is now that I work together with Superstar Recordings on kind of my own label. So I'm releasing my tracks myself, I have way more control over them, and everything is working fine so far. It is now 4:30. It's really about time to at least try and do something that has to do with music. So let's open up Logic and get started. You see this? These are plugins that are failing since the update. Skip, skip.
I keep dancing with my heart. I keep dancing with my
shit. I at least got to make drums, piano chords and a bass for a new track. And one really quick tip, always have the quantize ready if you play in something with the keyboard. In Logic it's just Q, it sets everything onto 16 notes. I got one custom shortcut, it's Shift _. It forces a legato, so if you play in the chords and you don't hold them long enough, it stretches them out to the next chords. These two shortcuts save me a lot of time, I use them almost every day. Now let's see if I can get back home safe. I of course don't need these. Now I do regret the shorts, so no more shorts for the rest of the year probably, except for this Saturday, but that's a special occasion. The dogs love my skateboard every time I'm passing here.